Dawn, how are things going today?
Everything's great. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for joining us. Help for your unfinished home projects. This is a topic that I would say is definitely pertinent to a lot of people out there over the last year.
Yes, absolutely. I've heard about a lot of people embarking on home projects because most people were home.
Yeah, and I know some of the tips that you want to talk about. First off, being able to clearly define the problem that you want to solve. How important is that for any project?
Oh, it's the first thing you really have to do, and it's so important because if you don't, I find that most people jump right to the solution, right? So I can tell you a little story about this. When I realized it, I was actually standing in a swimming pool with a friend of mine. We were on vacation, and we were catching up, and she said, I think I need to do a kitchen renovation, and you're the project guru, so I got to ask you about this. And I said, well, that's crazy because, didn't you just get this house? I mean, it's beautiful. I've seen pictures of it. And she said, yeah, but it just doesn't feel right to me. So I asked her, well, what doesn't feel right? What don't you like about the kitchen? Because really in my mind I was thinking, I think your kitchen's beautiful. I mean, what's wrong with it? And she said, well, I have OCD and the countertops are tile and they have this grout. And so crumbs get stuck in there, and I just am having such a hard time cleaning it. And I said, oh, well, what if you just replace the counters? Do you think that would make you feel better about the kitchen? And she thought about it, and she said, yes. And then she said, you just saved me $50,000. So defining the project is huge, right? She was going to do a whole kitchen renovation, and anybody would have loved to take her money. But, really all she wants is new counters. So with her, for instance, so we stepped back and we decided, okay, well, what really is the problem she's trying to solve? It's her countertop problem. And so then it was like, okay, well, I asked her to imagine if it was done. And, what would that feel like to her? What would that look like to her? And so she started to think about it. And so I always recommend to folks, just use those two little words, imagine if. And if you say, imagine if, and you step back and you look at the space that's annoying you about your home, you say, imagine if it's just how I want it. How do I want it? And I have a girlfriend that loves Pinterest, and she's always looking at things on Pinterest, and that's how she decided how to do her actually complete kitchen renovation, was by imagining and using those pictures and thinking about it and talking to friends about what it would look and feel like, so that she had the idea of what done looks like, and she could communicate it more easily to people, because most people are visual. So having pictures and other ways to make it very clear what your vision is really, really helpful.
And Dawn, how important is it as well to make sure that you prioritize your delivery objectives?
Yeah, this is huge because delivery objectives, what I call delivery objectives, are things like cost, time, quality, and happiness. So in the case of my friends with the now just replacement of her countertops, right, I asked her, well, how much money do you want to spend on this? I mean, you don't have to spend $50,000. I know you have plenty of other things you want to spend money on. So where is cost in this for you? And she said, yeah, time is actually more important to me because I want to have everybody over for Thanksgiving, right? And we were standing in the pool in August. So I said, okay, well, now you have a fixed time project. So now time is the most important thing, but I know that quality is also very important to her because she would be driven crazy by something that's a quarter-inch off. So you have to think about, in priority order, what are your trade-offs going to be? And if you think about that up front before the project starts, you can really reduce your stress level because you can communicate to people, and this is exactly what she went and did. She communicated to a contractor that she wanted to have everybody over for Thanksgiving, so it had to be done, all cleaned up, all beautiful by then. That was the first thing. The second thing was she said, quality is really, really important to me. And so the third thing then was cost for her, which said, she'll pay more. So because it's third, it means I'll pay more for higher quality and speed. So when you think about those in order, right, then you can decide, how you want to engage someone to help you or how you want to do this work yourself. And when you are going through the project, it helps you step back and make decisions as, you have to sort of play that game as stuff happens throughout the project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. The next tip you wanted to pass along, I think this goes for pretty much anything, and especially over the last year or so, you have to plan for the unexpected, right?
That's right. Yeah, we're all getting a real lesson in planning for the unexpected, aren't we? But in Projectland, when we plan for the unexpected, in the professional sense, we call it risk. And some people think that's being negative. I had a nonprofit client who was a lovely woman, and I was like, okay, you want to do this fundraiser, blah, blah, blah. And, these are some of the things I'm seeing. And she's like, why are you being so negative? It's not being negative. It's about being, realistic and planning. So for, any project, if you look at your space, now that you understand what you want to have happen, if you stand there and look at the space and imagine the project happening, the whole transformation process, you can say, okay, what could go wrong? And if you think about some of the things that could go wrong, then you could plan for it better and help to prevent those things from going wrong. So just with a little bit of visualization and thinking about, all right, in the case of the kitchen remodel, if they take out those countertops, they could damage the wall, right? So if she talks to him, the contractor, about, well, how are you going to make sure that the wall doesn't get damaged? Then she's going to at least feel better that he knows that's on her mind, and they'll have a plan for it. So maybe she, has a plan for a backsplash as well, which adds some scope and some time and some cost, but it might be something that she really wants. So sometimes when you think about what could go wrong, it also gives you some ideas about some things that you might want anyway.
Yeah,
like a backsplash.
That's great information. Again, talking with Dawn Mahan, project manager, tips to help you finish your unfinished projects. Dawn, I can kind of speak from experience with this. My fiance and I bought a house about a year ago, and there were some upkeep we wanted to do to the house as we were moving in, and it just seemed like it kept piling up. It was a new vanity, and then it was electrical work and all that fun stuff. So, how important is it to take the small steps and kind of, cherish the fact that you were able to get those small steps done?
Yeah, I feel like most people don't celebrate enough. So anytime anybody in sports, for instance, right, has a win, scores a point, makes a great shot, whatever, there's like this high five and this little celebration that happens. And I feel like we all need to take a good lesson from that and celebrate those small steps. So for you and your fiance, it could be, hey, if we get this done this week, we're going to have, pizza Friday night and watch a movie together and really be happy about this progress that we've made, right? But it doesn't have to be a big deal celebration, but definitely, hug or high five or whatever and celebrate those accomplishments, because they do actually motivate you into the next step. And help you want to continue, because I feel like, a lot of people get tired in projects, which is one of the reasons why they don't get finished, right? So and it happens in corporations too, where you get the project to 80% complete, let's say, and then people just can't climb the rest of the mountain, right? So if you think about climbing a mountain and you get up to 80%, what happens with the last 20% of that mountain? Well, it's really hard. The air is lighter, it's harder terrain, right? And people just give up. But that's part of the reason I think that people do it, is because they might not turn around, look back, and look at how far they've come and say, okay, and motivate themselves. I only have 20% to go. What do I have to do to, finish this thing?
Yeah.
And also, before starting the next project. that's the other key tip, right? Like, until you finish this one, please don't start the next one.
Yeah, the next one is hopefully, turning the basement into a man cave, and that's been moving at a snail's pace. Again, talking with Dawn Mahan, project management trainer, help for your unfinished home projects. Dawn, thank you so much for the time today. Lots of very useful knowledge that you were able to pass along. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, and good luck to you in your man cave.
All right, that's Dawn Mahan, 8:55.